Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to stay curious today with Chuck Jeffrey beside me. Chuck, is the collection analyst of space memorabilia. He is our chief operating officer at the American Space Museum, been on the board, and has helped us keep the doors open with now it's going to be the 27th auction, October 7th. Chuck, welcome.
28th.
All right. Now, corrected already. That's why he's here to keep me in line. 28 auctions in about 7 years. And you've sold how much volume in that?
More than I can keep track of.
Is it up to $1 million?
Oh, I think it's well over. Well over 1 million.
Well, quickly, Chuck has got Marty's. Hello, Marty. We need to adjust the microphone there a little bit as we're on the fly today. I've been doing my community liaison work in Merritt Island and really happy just to be sitting here today. And then Chuck's here because you got one of the local TV stations promoting the auction and you're going to show some items here.
Yep. Thank you to Greg Pallone and Channel 13 for the coverage they're giving the museum and our charity auction. Always greatly appreciated.
This is a particularly, what, Marty?
Keep the mic closer to Chuck and Chuck.
I'll talk louder.
Okay, all right. Hello, Marty. Say hi on that UCAC family microphone as we're adjusting here. The volume there for Chuck.
Okay, hi, Marty.
I know he can use his outdoor voice.
I can. I just don't want to get carried away.
Okay. Well, we're glad that you're here to get carried away with some really cool items in this auction. One of the strongest you've had in the 24 that you've done.
This one's a historic auction, to say the least.
And why is that?
Well, we have the very first Silver Snoopy Award ever given to a space worker. So it's really
right over there, don't you?
Really, this is it right here. And although it may be small,
it is the Snoopy. There's Snoopy. How'd that all happen, Chuck? What's up with that Snoopy Award? Taken to space by an astronaut, I think. And that's the first one that's done that.
So, no, this one has not been to space.
Okay.
This was before any of the manned missions. This was given in 1967 to Glenn Kingsley for his work in the LTA-8 vacuum chamber test of the lunar module.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenn was one of Grumman's test astronauts. And we actually have his mission access badge, patches, photographs, just so much in this auction from Glenn Kingsley.
And if you're interested in these items, go to our website up at the top, auctions. It clicks you to the links there, and you can bid. Can you bid now on these things?
You cannot. It's not live. It will be live on Friday.
Okay.
So right now we're finishing loading the last items, and we will be online and ready for bidding Friday afternoon.
And we'll let you know that on our Facebook and here on Stay Curious, so you can save up this next paycheck and maybe the next one and buy something for yourself. Or, the holidays are pretty close. It's going to be sneaking up on everybody. So if you know a space geek out there, they would go crazy over owning that Snoopy.
Well, this is one of those space geek items, and we have so many more in this auction. We're selling the collection of astronaut Woody Spring.
Uh-huh.
And we have a collection of the astronaut Robbins medallions starting at STS-1 and every mission covered up to 51L.
That's a lot of. Tell everybody what the Robbins medal is. I know you have one around your neck. You have one there to show us.
This is an STS-1 Robbins medallion. These are the souvenirs of the astronauts. These are only available to astronauts from the astronaut office. You can't get them anywhere else. And if you don't have astronaut wings, you can't buy them. So they're very special souvenirs.
Boy, that's a beauty there. That is that's gorgeous how that's reliefed. Up there, you really can't see it. I'm not going to take it out of there.
No, very 3D, very high relief.
3D, from 1981.
And the reason they're called Robbins medallions is that these are made by the Robbins Company.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're called Robbins medallions. But there's very few of them. They're all numbered.
Well, break the ice. What do you want that to go for? Of course, some of these have a reserve on them because, they got to get what they're worth. They don't want to give them away.
Well, STS-1 being the first is always one of the most collectibles. This one should go between $600 and $1,000.
Wow.
And of course, we've got them for other missions that are less popular. Probably go for $300 or $400.
Okay. That seems reasonable, though. But I know the Moon Robbins medals go for a lot more than that.
So, and we got one of those in December for our Christmas auction. We have a Flown to the Moon Apollo 11 Robbins medallion.
Holy cow.
We have a lunar landed American flag from Apollo 14. We have
Mitchell
a
and Shepard.
lunar orbit flown flag from Apollo 17. We got some great items coming up in December. We'll have more about that later.
Chuck, how do you get these items?
These items are consigned to us by space workers and the families of space workers. So, these people spend their lifetime at NASA, and NASA rewards them. And if you're really high up, if you're really instrumental into the success of a mission, you get some amazing things.
Chuck's always anxious to look at your collection and give you a free appraisal. Sorry, I didn't have time to put up your information there, Chuck, but you can get a hold of us, info at the American Space Museum, or whatever ways we'll get you in touch with Chuck.
Just go to the website. My information is on americanspacemuseum.org. Just click on auctions and informations. Appraisals are always free. I don't care if you sell it. I don't care if you keep it and give it to the kids. I want you to know what you have. I want you to know the historic significance, and I want you to know what it's worth.
Well, I've known Chuck since day one here at the American Space Museum when I started almost 6 years ago, and I can tell you he gives an honest appraisal. I've even seen Chuck call up people and say, hey, I looked into those patches. I owe you a couple $100 more because they're worth more than I told you they were. And that's a true story I've seen you do, Chuck. And people respect that a lot when you just tell them honestly. He has a polite way of telling you got a box full of junk, too, of lithographs and whatnot, but you don't kick people to the curb with their stuff.
I got one of the best compliments I've ever had this week. A lady from Houston called me. She was the secretary at the flight training simulators at JSC. As she puts it, every astronaut had to walk by her desk to get to the simulator. They had to walk by her desk to get out. She says, I want to send you my whole collection to sell. I said, fantastic, and it's very unusual for someone to call me I don't know and say, I'm sending you my collection. I said, how did you get my name? She said, well, I'm best friends with Bob Crippen's wife. Bob Crippen, commander of STS-41G and another mission of pilot on STS-1. But Bob Crippen said, Chuck's a good guy. He's honest. You can trust him. Send it to Chuck. That to me is the ultimate compliment.
Well, and happy 86th birthday to Bob Crippen yesterday. So, but that is a great compliment.
It
Chuck.
is a great compliment.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And that's honesty is the best policy. And this space memorabilia is hot now. It is really hot. Hot stuff in the whole auction world, isn't it?
Hot and rare. Having the first Silver Snoopy ever awarded is rare. There's only one.
Exactly.
There'll never be another one. But something equally as rare is having a backup firing room badge for Apollo 1 from the man who was wearing it at the time of the fire. This is from Ken Buchanan. He was part of the launch team for Apollo 1, working the dress rehearsal for the launch.
AS-204.
AS-204
in the inside circles there.
But this is the backup firing room known as room 307. And he gave me the whole explanation of what room 307 was because I'd never heard of it.
It's in the ONC, right, Marty?
Yep.
That's what we talked about with John Tribe last week. It's actually in the operations and checkout.
Correct.
Up there.
And it's a off-site backup firing room.
Yeah.
And he was there, and during that fire, he was wearing this badge.
My gosh.
And this is a very rare piece of space history.
His name again?
Ken Buchanan.
Ken Buchanan.
Yep.
Is he still around, or you get that from the estate?
Got him directly from Ken.
Wow, awesome.
No,
Great.
and he told me the story about room 307 because I was unaware.
Huh.
Great thing. You're always learning.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating, Chuck? No matter how much you know, there's always something to learn. And
Absolutely.
I didn't know that either till we had the great John Tribe on our program, and he too had the headsets on when the fires happened, and he was very eloquent in talking about it. But he talked about it frankly, and that's on last week's Stay Curious programs. You can check out on YouTube. But yeah, I didn't know that was in the ONC where they were. Is actually, very well 3 miles away from the pad actually. So, well, Chuck, we what other items did you bring?
You got
up
a
to the
second
shop?
for one more
We
great
sure
item.
do.
We have so many great items on this auction. You're going to have to log in and look because there's 370 lots of amazing memorabilia. But this is the first known. I see we
really?
got a little reflection.
I'll work on that.
Okay, there you go. This is the first known Snoopy poster from NASA from 1968.
Wow.
This is before they started the manned flight awareness posters that started at Apollo 8, but this just precedes Apollo 8, and just a great poster. It almost looks like they hand drew Snoopy on here, but I don't think they did. It just appears that way. But I mean, it's just
Wow.
a very, very rare. It's the only one I've ever seen. It is the ultimate in rare Apollo posters.
And if you, it is, of course, I've never seen it, or I would have been sending you a picture of it when I saw it. Of course, he's my Obi-Wan Kenobi here, teaching me some of this stuff. Everyone might know that one of the things you want to collect is the yellow Snoopy poster. Those go for $200 all day long. We've got one in our workers gallery. You should probably fetch 400 or 500 or more for this.
I'm thinking that's going to be well over $1,000.
Well over $1,000.
Well over
there.
$1,000. It is so rare.
But look at how that look on your space wall there, Tom Usiak. Yeah, he'd love that.
Yeah, this is
How about
one
Chris Callie out there.
you're not
No,
gonna
I'm not buying it for you, Chris.
you're not gonna find this one in the average gift shop.
No, that's right. That is gorgeous. Now, they buy their things from us. Let's say you sell that for $1,000, okay? Let everybody know how that works. With what?
Okay.
This was consigned to you, correct?
This is consigned by the
so
estate of a space
how does
worker.
our nonprofit going to make money off that?
Okay, so here's the way it works. We offer this for sale, and the person who is selling it pays us a commission, a fee for us to sell his item. And when it sells, we get a percentage of what it sells for. And you, the person who buys it, pays us a buyer's premium. This is a fee you pay to buy from us. That's how the museum makes money. We get half our money from the buyer, half our money from the seller, and the result, you don't have to stay curious because that is the museum is open for business. That's the result.
Thank you. Good there. And it's a healthy cut for the consigners, too. And Chuck works that contract out individually with everybody.
I work it out, and the consignment fee is based on the amount of work that we have to do for you. If you bring me stuff that all we have to do is list it, the fee is very low. If we have to research it, write up COAs for you to sign, document it, get photographs, do all of this legwork, we charge for that. But we're happy to do it for you. Provenance is everything. Documenting what you have is value. Selling an unknown piece will never bring the value of knowing the value. Here's a good example. Glenn Kingsley's family put this silver Snoopy for sale for $10 in a yard sale. Okay? And then they sent me an email and I told them what it was, and they pulled it out, and they were so thankful no one bought it for $10 because we're expecting this to bring $10,000 to $15,000.
10 to 15,000 for that little silver Snoopy. I didn't ask you. Wow.
Now,
The
it's
first,
not
number one. There's only number one in Kingsley, the man of the lunar module at Grumman. There was 5 or 6 or 7 test pilots. that were like astronauts that did
They were
everything.
astronauts. They
Yeah.
didn't get to fly, but they went
Yeah.
through all the other training. And we have newspaper clippings, we have articles, we have the original award letter, we have photographs of Deke Slayton awarding this to Glenn Kingsley. This has got the provenance to prove it is
Wow,
what we say it is.
yeah.
It's not just my word, oh, trust Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's provenance, it's documentation, it is what makes value.
Well, and Chuck is very fussy, as he should be. You are in touch with some of the world's other major memorabilia experts, like Ken Havicott. We had a show about a year ago where you ripped up some forgeries of moonwalkers, Buzz Aldrin's. He ripped up and so forth.
Beautiful forgeries.
Yeah, beautiful
But
forgeries.
still, folks, they were
Yeah,
forgeries.
you don't want that stuff out there. And 60 years after landing the Gemini space program and then Apollo right after that, people are still interested in this stuff. It's really sought after memorabilia, isn't it? Because you don't have to just be a space geek. You could be a casual space lover or a proud American and own some of this.
And
right?
for the people who collect autographs, when it comes to buying on eBay and some of these other sites, it is buyer beware, because I can tell you half of what's being sold is fake.
Mm-hmm.
If there's money to be made, someone's going to do it.
And Chuck's been in it how long?
Almost 40 years.
And you've seen some outright shysters that duplicated patches and bold enough to signatures and stuff.
Patches, people who have fabricated flown flag awards, complete with astronaut signatures, but everything is fabricated. When you start looking at the details, it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And, if somebody doesn't know what they're looking at, they glance at it and they're like, oh my God, an Apollo 11 flown flag, they pay $20,000 for it. They think they stole it for half price. The fact of the matter is, you just gave away $20,000 for nothing.
Yeah, but so ask the experts like Chuck here. If you have any memorabilia you're questioning about, get in touch with us. He'll get back to you anywhere in the world. You can handle this somewhat.
We handle stuff by emails as long as there's high resolution photographs. Occasionally, I tell people this is something you have to hold in your hand. I cannot authenticate something from a picture if it can't be authenticated by a picture. An autograph can be printed. It can be a photographic copy. You can't tell that from a picture. You can only tell that by holding it in your hand. Yes, this was signed by a pen in person. You can see what they call the live ink on top of the photo, on top of the item. You know it was signed by hand. It's not a copy.
So somebody wanting to get into autographs out there, buyer beware, but buy from Chuck if you're going to at our auction. You have plenty of Mercury, Gemini, Apollo autographs, but everybody wants the man, Neil Armstrong. How much does his autograph go for?
Neil Armstrong on an insignificant piece of a dinner napkin, a menu, a event card are still going for $800 to $1,000. If you get a beautiful white spacesuit signed Neil Armstrong, go for $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah, incredible the prices, and all three moon men of Apollo 11 signed on a photograph can be $5,000 to $10,000, depending if it's
on the
real,
right thing,
yeah.
$20,000.
Yeah, a red lettered NASA photo of a Kodak paper, to be exact. There. Well, Chuck, you're just a wealth of knowledge. I could eat up the whole hour here talking to you, but you've highlighted some of the items in this great auction that you all can go and want to participate in. We'll be announcing next week and the week after, highlighting some of the features on there. Look at it this weekend. The items will be up on, but want to touch base here just a couple minutes before I let you go. We highlight the shuttles of the month every month. There's 11 shuttles in the month of September, and we love juxtaposing all of the things around there. And there's a lot of memorabilia, like you said, the Robbins Medal on there, a lot of space flown flags. We got 2 Mir missions in the September. 65 astronauts flew on 11 missions. 5 of them were women, and three of them were launched today, Chuck. September 12th, we've got STS-48, launched a year before STS-47. All right, NASA didn't care about those numbers. And then STS-51 all share today's date from 91, 92, 93 launched. The active center out there was just something in the wheelhouse of the shuttle era. And you have all kinds of memorabilia from, what kind of things you have from the shuttle era?
Okay, well, in this auction, we've got some really cool stuff. We have a salt water release mechanism for the solid rocket boosters' main parachutes. So you've all seen pictures of the solid rocket boosters coming back to Earth, and they've got 3 parachutes on them. And as they're coming down, they don't want those parachutes to get waterlogged and have currents drag these things away. So as soon as they hit the water, there is a water activated charge that blows apart a coupler and releases the parachute, but the coupler stays part of the SRB. It's bolted to it. So they're all recovered. And because they explode, they're one use only. So every flight gets a new one. And they actually engrave the mission information and scrap on it. And so we've got one that was flown on STS-100.
Oh, I can't wait to see that listed. What do you expect that will fetch?
I expect probably $400 to $500. It's a very interesting item. Of course, we always have thermal protection things, gap fillers, thermal blankets, the fibrous insulation blankets. We have shuttle tiles. We always have flown flags, autographs of space shuttle astronauts. All of our autographs are guaranteed authentic. Okay, we check them all out. If there's any questions, if there's any problems, we make it right. I sold a fake once. It was my bad. I do the best I can, but we gave a full refund. We took care of it. I made a mistake. We're only human, guys. By the time you sell, 8,000 lots, you make a mistake.
Well, they're forgiven for that, for sure. And anything that happens is made right on the buyer's side.
And remember, you got the American Space Museum is here. We are an organization. We're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
You can fly or drive to Titusville, Florida. You can come to 308 Pine Street. You can walk in the front door and you can come in and talk to us.
Chuck, you found this museum by buying, I think, flown stamps or something on...
Buying a mission patch.
Mission patch.
Mission patch. I was looking for an STS-134 Wives patch. I'm a friend of Jack Lausma and a huge fan of the Skylab Wives mission. I've got a cover from Jack that's signed by the wives and the crew. I've got an original Wives patch. But then Owen Garriott's son, Richard Garriott, had the 134 Wives patch, and I'm reading about it online, and I can't find it anywhere. And when I start Googling it, it comes up with the American Space Museum. Well, I'd never been here. So I drove from Orlando to Titusville. I came to the museum, and I bought a $4 patch. That $4 patch, 11 years ago, has led to this, which says Chief Operating Officer. I'm number 2 in command here, and I've been here ever since. I'm very proud of this place, and I'm very proud of my affiliation with the museum.
Well, as we are with you and all that you've done, there's even a plaque outside the wall to commemorate all that you've done there. It's very serious. Here in the land of nonprofits, there's, you wouldn't believe there's it's incredible here in Florida, and, we're holding our own. We can always do better, and we're looking to reach out, and it's through this auction and other things like that, building relationships. And we built this relationship with the astronauts at Kennedy Visitors Complex. We being Marty and me and our friends that go out there and just see Nick Thomas out there with a different astronaut for 3 or 4 days a week. And it's beautiful what they do that. And finally, we pushed the envelope a little bit where Woody Spring came to us through Nick Thomas.
Came to us
And
to look for someone to help sell his collection. We are honored. I am thankful to Nick for recommending us, and we've helped several astronauts sell off their collections, and it's an honor to help serve. It benefits them, and it definitely benefits the museum.
And you know what? This stuff, this memorabilia, not just stuff, it goes to collectors who love it. It's just not like buying baseball cards or comic books or something like that. Anybody might enjoy it. This is people who really know what they're getting. Your collection was enormous. I've seen some other collections, just incredible. But it's, all collectors out there, some go over the top, we admit that. But these places find good homes, is what I'm saying. So if you know someone out there that's got space memorabilia, make sure the family knows what's involved there. Have Chuck get involved so he can tell them, look, don't put this out in a yard sale. This pin's not worth $10, it's worth $10,000. And
we've had people bring us stuff that they picked up out of the garbage that was worth tens of thousands.
let's talk about one of those here just a minute, because I know you've got to get on your day here, and we appreciate you staying in here. Part of our program, Chuck, like your memorabilia, is celebrating space history. And today, 61 years ago, is the great speech by President Kennedy that we all remember at Rice University. We will go to the moon not because it's easy, but because it's hard before the end of this decade, as that that Massachusetts guy
accent.
But so this is the date, 61 years ago, the famous speech. He actually gave it in Congress in May of 1962. But we honor that. Look at what's come out of this. You cannot see anything about the Apollo era without a piece of that Kennedy speech being played there. And right now in space history, in 1966, we had these two astronauts orbiting the Earth. Dick Gordon on the left and his commander, everybody knows by the gapped teeth there, Charles P. Conrad. And you certainly have sold a lot of memorabilia from these gentlemen in this mission over the years, haven't you, Chuck?
Well, we got to sell a wedding set that Pete Conrad flew in his PPK to the moon. Personal preference kit.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the astronauts carry their own personal items not associated with NASA. And for a gentleman that we all know very well, he flew a men and woman's wedding band to the moon. When he came back, he wrote not only a COA, but he actually in his own hand drew a picture of each of the rings there to help identify him. He's a well-known, beloved astronaut.
Yes, yeah, and died way too young at age 69 in a motorcycle accident. Dick Gordon, he lived a long life and was always at the events they had.
Always at the events. I got quite a few of his autographs. Always gracious. Yeah. Always fun to talk to.
And part of our museum, Chuck, of course, is honoring our heroes at Spaceview Park, where Mercury, here's Gemini, there's the paver. We've got handprints of the guys out there. The only place in the world you can put your hands on top of Dick Gordon's, I guarantee you. And then he's out at the Apollo also. Quite a character he was. I wish I could have met him. Did you ever meet him?
Many times.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was he a fun guy? He seemed like he was.
I told you, always a fun person, always amicable, always easy to talk to. Some people are more difficult to interface with. Some people are easier, and he was always easy to talk to.
There's our honoring Pete Conrad. We had the sculpturist that did a relief of the astronauts who were deceased. That's Sandy Storm. Very good likeness of him there. So, well, Chuck, I want to thank you for sticking around after he did a television interview about this important auction. Like I said, he's gonna load it up this week. We'll be talking about it this weekend in the next 2 weeks on Stay Curious on Facebook, promoting this and all of our social media platforms out there. So, and it's fun to watch. If your wallet's a little bit light this auction, he's going to do another one in December. But it's fun to watch. You learn some space history. I kind of wish you had an audio to it. It'd be fun to hear your banter about it, but we're not doing these live at the museum. We're doing them online only right now.
We are looking next year to actually have live audio and video of our auctions and going back to full live events. And again, after COVID, we had several live events and nobody came. And, we had pizza here and donuts and, things and nobody came. And COVID's been really hard to recover from. It just changed the mindset of people of going to live events. Why do that when I can sit at home on a computer? But I think now we're to the point where people are in that more get out and do kind of stage. We're hoping to go back to live events next year.
And yeah, we miss you, and it's a lot of fun. Chuck puts on a show himself there that we enjoy, talking about space memorabilia. I've always enjoyed helping you with it. And Chuck, I failed to mention that you became so passionate not only about this museum, but the auctions, that you became a legal Florida auctioneer and you formed your own company. Please tell us about your company.
So I did the first 4 or 5 auctions here, not as an auctioneer. In the state of Florida, if your auction is merely for charity, you don't have to be an auctioneer. It's for charity. You can do whatever you want. But I loved it. I enjoyed it. So I went through, I got myself a state licensed. I have a auction company now. It's Bid Again Auctions with an X, with a S, not an X, an S. So
okay,
Bid Again.
Elon Musk going with the X.
BidAgainAuctions.com. And everything you can see from the American Space Museum, from the auction part of it, you can see on my website. Plus, we sell some really rare memorabilia at BidAgainAuctions.com. If you want to take a look, we got some great items there. We got a few website glitches we're ironing out, but we're getting there.
Good. And Chuck just is not an auctioneer for space memorabilia. If you have a collection of anything, he'd be happy to hear it. You just did a NASCAR Coca-Cola auction.
Went very well.
And he's navigating the waters there, but you've learned on this space memorabilia. We're so grateful for it. I'm personally grateful for your friendship, Chuck. You've taught me so much about space memorabilia. It's amazing when you're immersed in it and you know about it. Sometimes we have to take ourselves out of here and put ourselves up in Collins, Georgia, with Gary Gerald up there, who would. We're surrounded by it here.
And Gary, put on the stakes, man. We're on our way.
Hey, they've invited us up there. Him and his wife
I
Donnie
love Georgia.
up there.
I love Georgia. I used to go up all the time.
Did you get in on his Vidalia onions that he brought down for us here?
I did not. Somebody really, forgot me on that one.
Yeah, well, we'll have to. I think you were doing a little traveling or something. Marty, we're going to end this show with Chuck leaving here since we burned up a good half hour here. No reason to continue with Shuttles of the Month here. We're tomorrow. I'm going to go way ahead of here. I'm going to jump through my program that we're going to talk. We've got Mae Jameson, the first African-American woman. These are pictures from Tom and Mark Usiak, great partners. There's Hoot Gibson. I've seen him a few times. There is our suit tech, Caples, there on the right. Honored to do that with Mae. Mae goes out and does a lot of talking now out there. There's the walkout. And the Usiak brothers do a fabulous job sharing their photographs. You sell a lot of photographs, Chuck, and bundles and stuff. This is Endeavor on Launchpad, September 12th, 1992. And the launch there. And a great juxtaposition there, guys, of putting the flag in the way there. And then oddly, you've got 3 launches. 48 went ahead of 47, just how it was. And it was an important upper atmosphere mission that lays the groundwork for today's global warming climate. And then there's their mission patch. But I wanted to get there to let you know tomorrow, Doug Forrest in Los Angeles, you'll be watching Terry White do our Shuttle Garage once a month. Hope Space Monkey's watching. Dave Stangy's up in Michigan. Robert Law's up in Dundee, Scotland. enjoying your cocktail. Robert, save your paycheck this week, okay, so you can buy some stuff October 7th. There's Gary Gerald, our farmer. He did a great show sitting right there where you are on the GPS systems used in farming and how it maximizes their yields and stuff. It's just amazing. CB, Carlton Bailey's watching, and Bill Whiting. Good to see Bill on there. Tomorrow's Terry White. We taped a show last Friday with Tom Jones. It's an awesome show. He really enjoyed the museum, Chuck. His eyes were big and wide all over. He said, I've got to come back and spend an hour here someday or more. And but he did a wonderful show. We're going to rebroadcast on Thursday. And then a week from Monday, we've got Nick Thomas. We'll be talking about wrangling some astronauts out there at Kennedy Space Center. So, Chuck, thank you for bopping in here and educating everybody about our space memorabilia. Is so important to us to make money off that, but it's also very important to us as we have it in our hearts that this stuff gets to good homes and lasts. Good gosh, a Civil War object right now, Chuck, from 1860 is 160 years old. Our museum is filled with lots of artifacts that are 60 years old. We pray that 100 years from now, people are looking at these like they are.
And I'll tell you what, people who collect preserve.
They do.
They do. And that is the long and the short of it. Nobody is buying memorabilia from an auction to destroy it. They're doing it because they love it. They know they are temporary stewards of history. They preserve it, they care for it, and wait to hand it to the next person to carry it forward.
And we hope that's you. So thank you, Marty, for a good Streamlabs job today. Anything else we need to button up over there?
Nope, we're good to go.
All right. You always sell a few things once in a while and buy a few things on the auction. So I know you're like me, interested to see this one coming around. Maybe you get your Robbins medal there, Marty. All right.
I can find one that's going at a good price,
They're all going at a good price.
All right.
but a good price by my definition, not yours.
Oh, no. The higher, the better.
That's right. Well, like Chuck says, bid often and bid till it hurts. All right. Until
And then
tomorrow.
Bid again.
And bid again. Until tomorrow when we've got Terry White with us to talk about, we're going to talk about space debris and how the shuttle took hundreds of hits from space debris. And Terry White will be here to share that with you as we stay curious. Until then, I'm Mark Marquette saying thank you, Chuck.
Thank
and
you,
I will
Mark.
see you tomorrow to bridge the space between us.